Hi everyone, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, joining you today, Wednesday, July 29th from Los Angeles, California, where I, every Monday through Thursday, help people from across the world and discuss U.S. immigration laws in this Q&A segment for the next half an hour, live every Monday through Thursday on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, Wednesdays on YouTube, the live feed for YouTube, and the recording of YouTube if you're watching it there. If you are, please subscribe, click that like button and the bell icon to get notifications for all the pieces of information I'm posting every day, long, short videos, medium-sized videos, really breaking down the cutting edge of immigration. Now, if you are thinking about doing a marriage or fiance-based case, the first thing you should do is download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card ebook. It's a free ebook I wrote. It's the best one out there that'll give you the initial strategy and guidance of what you need to do. You can go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook and download that. And another thing I got told, you may be able to hear my kid yelling in the background. So it happens when you record during COVID-19 at home. But another thing I wanted to mention is this is general education only, not intended for case-specific guidance. You should consult with an immigration lawyer in private to help you in your needs. But we're gonna have a general discussion here. And just like, the reason why I need to contact a lawyer and have a lawyer in the case is every second things change. So all of a sudden, deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, is not being accepted by USCIS. What are you gonna do about that? And then we're getting word right now, I haven't seen the order, but a federal judge in New York had said the public charge rule has to be on hold while COVID-19 is happening. It's too much pressure on people. Well, that throws everything in a loop. I've been working nonstop. I have 4 or 5 cases right now dealing with the public charge rule, getting documents. I haven't slept in a couple of days, and all of a sudden, all the work I did is not necessary. So hopefully that's the case, because public charge rule, the reason I have to work so hard is because it's so complicated and potentially is going to create a lot of problems for my clients. So that's that. So before I jump into talking about that, let's get it started. All right, so I want to say hi to Labe. Thank you so much for joining again. Good to see you. Amin, thanks for sharing the feed. Feel free to start shooting out your questions. But in the intro, I was talking about the public charge rule. So for those that don't know, the public charge rule, Form I-944 for USCIS, was instituted to really mess with immigrants. And it finally came into effect February 24th, and it created an additional form that required a lot of information, a lot of background, a lot more cost to applicants. They need to get degree equivalencies, translations of everything, this kind of paperwork, that kind of paperwork, health insurance. It was just a nightmare to deal with. And so I've been dealing with it since then, but maybe this federal judge will stop it. I don't know. I hope that's the case, and I can file these cases I have ASAP, because all we're waiting on is getting the last pieces of paperwork for that. We have people tuning in on YouTube. Hi Tina, good to see you. For those who are regulars, know YouTube has the worst live feed for getting questions. So Sophia, hello to you as well. Thanks for joining. Leba has a question. She asks, my first question is, please can you tell if embassy and consulate open, will they F2A work on F2s? Okay, so an F2 is a visa for a spouse of a green card holder or a minor single child of a green card holder. And so the question is, will embassies work on those? Most likely not, because F2As are subject to the immigrant visa ban. So that's going to be a problem unless you could show, for example, the F2A spouse is a researcher in vaccines or something like that. You may be able to request an exception. It's something you should do anyway. So the embassy has the ability to grant exceptions to the travel ban. So if you are subject to one of them, like an immigrant visa travel ban, you still want to do the consular processing portion, and then notify the embassies that we have a reason that we think is an exception, and try to get it. Depends on the facts of your case. The first thing is, yes, you will be subject to the travel ban, but there may be exceptions. I don't know the backgrounds of your case. Is something to discuss in private with a lawyer, but you don't give up. You give another shot and see what kind of facts you have to see if there's any exceptions that could apply to you in your case. Sophia has a question. Please ask your question, Sophia, on YouTube. Sabuun says, hello to you too. Emin says, will the embassies be working on spouse cases since the other ones are banned? The embassies are working on all types of cases, marriage to U.S. citizen kind of cases. Sandeep, how are you? They're working on non-immigrant visas. They're granting a lot of e-visas, for example, in Europe even. My callers are getting it. So it's still happening. K1 fiance visas. I just got a K1 fiance visa for a client. Omer says, are they accepting green card petitions for parents of U.S. citizens? If yes, what's the timeline? I don't have an answer about timelines. I don't answer questions about timelines, but they never stopped accepting I-130 petitions for parents of U.S. citizens. So if you had a case like that, you shouldn't have waited. That's the bigger problem, is that you're waiting and not getting legal guidance on that. With regards to timeline, that's not a question I answer. Glushan says, hi sir, how are you? Good. I've been here for a while. Well, good to see you. Thank you for joining us again. Tina asks on YouTube, my daughter I-130 is at the embassy appointment, was canceled due to COVID. Do you think that the ban will ever be lifted and updated with lawsuits? I don't know, Tina. It depends on, I mean, that whether lifted, that's not up to me. It's a political decision. And also, your daughter may be subject to one of the exemptions to travel ban, so you might not be subject to it. I don't know. I have to review your case. But there's a lot going on there. Lag follows up. Okay, I have submitted my documents to the National Visa Center. That's where you submit if you have a green card case. They are responding, but if time to interview, but there is a ban, essentially what's going to happen. Again, I don't know. I just got to be on top of that case, or just be on top of it to see what to do. You know, first of all, the National Visa Center has to accept your documents. So we got to make sure the documents are accepted. And then once it's accepted, we wait and see what they say. And then if it's a reason that we can argue, then you just contact the embassy. Each embassy is going to have its own procedures. Some are going to be more strict or more lenient. So there's so many different factors you just got to deal with. And that's what a lawyer does. Yesterday, one of the questions someone asked, how does a lawyer help a case? Well, that's what we do. We try to figure out what's going on and what's the best way to deal with the situation based on experience, based on talking to colleagues, based on contacting the embassy. All these kind of factors are taken into play. Then we try to, you know, just make it work. You know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But there's no like formula thing I can tell you do this, do that, because as you know, we're just making this up as we go along. COVID-19 is unexpected. People are afraid of everything, really even talking to people. So we're trying to see a travel ban. President Trump just throws out these travel bans that we're not used to. It's never been done before. So there's no clear answers to that. PS asks, does the PPP loan... Oh, close my YouTube accent. Okay, let's see. All right. Does PPP loan, which is forgivable, fall under public charge? Probably not if it's a loan. I don't know how they're going to consider these things, but typically a PPP loan is for business purposes, it's not to a person necessarily. So it's just a loan. So I doubt it, but you never know how this administration is going to take it. But my initial instinct is no, but it's something that's really case specific, and it's so new. We'll see how they're going to do it, but I generally doubt it. Amy says, call someone for an oath. Okay, Amy says, what does it mean if an embassy calls for an oath? Well, it depends. I don't know. I mean, sometimes you got to get your paperwork from the embassy for citizenship or something like that. They may ask for an oath, but I'm not sure it's not a typical scenario that pops up. It's very rare for them to ask for oath. There's very few types of visas or citizenship categories that would require that. So I don't know. You should definitely consult a lawyer to see what's going on if you have that. Safi asks, hi, I filed for VAWA. Is it approved? What is the next step? I don't handle VAWA cases. I assume it's fine for adjustment of status or something, but I don't know. I'd have to review the case, or better yet, if you contact me, I'd refer you to a colleague that could help you with that one. Unfortunately, YouTube feed is not going well. It's cutting me out and stuff. Let's see how we get back into that. Why is YouTube so unreliable? Resume. So sorry, Safi. Definitely consult with a lawyer. If you want me to I could potentially, refer you to one of my colleagues. Just email me and let me know what city you're in, or remind me what kind of case you have. info@jqqlaw.com. But I don't handle VAWA cases, so I'm not the person to really get into details about that one. Wally says, is the National Visa Center open? Yes, the National Visa Center never closed. The National Visa Center, the NVC for short, handles a processing of the paperwork before a person goes for a green card interview at a U.S. embassy abroad, and they've always been open. It's never been closed. SJ asks, do any of the presidential proclamations and its amendments regarding COVID affect EB3 nurses going through consular processing? Yes, several of them do. It depends on your case, but it depends on what country you're from. There might be a ban. The immigrant visa ban affects those, but there's exceptions. So if you work in the health field, you say you're a nurse, maybe an exception applies to you. So you have to request that from the embassy. But this is really case specific. We got to see what's going on with yours. If you have an EB3, for sure your employer who filed the EB3 has an immigration lawyer that's working on the case. You should go and talk with them to see how you could process it and what you could do next. That's a solution to that one. Omar asks, my parents are currently in the U.S. on a B2 tourist visa, so is it better to apply I-130 after they depart? Omar, that's up to you, and then you definitely need to consult with an immigration lawyer in private. If you're a U.S. citizen, you could potentially file for your parents' I-130 and adjustment of status in the United States. whether you want to make that decision or not, I need to know a lot more factors about your parents' backgrounds, your backgrounds, finances, their intent when they arrive. There's a lot of things going on, and their life plans, what they plan on doing for the next 3 to 6 or 9 months, because if they apply for the United States, they're stuck here. So this is something that's really urgent that you consult with an immigration attorney in private to get to the details of what is appropriate and the strategy that's appropriate for you and your family. Waleed asks, when will the U.S. Embassy be back again? I don't know, ask the U.S. Embassy. Saeed says, my wife has a conditional green card, 2 years. How should I apply for permanent resident card and docs? Well, I mean, how you should, I mean, that's a big thing. It's like you're asking right there. But generally, for removal of conditions, the form is Form I-751. You have to add a lot of documentation of your relationship to prove it's real. And then, you know, and you file it. I mean, but that's about it. But you should consult an immigration. If you have this question, because the information is everywhere on the internet, if you have this question, that means you definitely should consult and get the help of an immigration attorney to help file a case for you. And it's going to take a while. It's going to take over a year most likely. So having someone by your side that can help you throughout this mess and how long it takes is definitely worth it. But that's the gist of that question. Saba Woon follows up, I'm going to apply for a green card next month. How long it takes to receive my green card? You know, that question is just doesn't have enough facts for me to be able to answer that. You should consult with an immigration attorney in private. The question is just so vague. It's not possible to answer that question. It could be 6 months. It could be 20 years. That's the short answer for that. Abdul Wisha says, for a CR1, it's a conditional relative one. Is it worth it to wait 2 years until I bring my spouse so I couldn't get 10 years? A question of worth is a personal decision. It's up to you. Do you want your spouse to stay outside for 2 years or not? I mean, that's not something to ask me. I mean, maybe we could talk about that if we had a half-hour conversation and I know what life goals you and your wife have, then we could discuss it. But if it's worth it or not, that's a personal decision. That's not for me to say, especially because all I know is some stuff you said to me on the internet. I don't know what's going on in your relationship, what your life goals are. So let me break down for what people don't know what's going on. When you get married and file for a green card, if at the time the green card is issued, the marriage is less than 2 years old, what's going to happen is they're going to issue a conditional green card that's only valid for 2 years. And now the 2-year mark, like the previous question was talking about, you have to file another application, Form I-751, to keep the green card. And it is a hassle. But the solution to that is you file for the green card and the foreign spouse does not enter the U.S. until the 2nd anniversary of your marriage. So after the 2nd anniversary of your marriage. So, I mean, that's a personal decision. What if you want to have kids right now, your wife's getting older, you need to have kids, well, they're going to stay outside? You know, it just is a personal thing. Are you going to tell your wife and her family, yeah, just stay outside because we're trying to stay away from you in the U.S. I'm going to live as a bachelor here for 2 years until just to avoid the I-751? I mean, you know, and I know your family's from the Middle East too. They're not going to want to hear any of that. So I don't know if that's a wise kind of thing to bring up. Karga says, sorry, I emailed you. Is it possible to take a look on it? Thanks. I have to check it out. I usually respond pretty quickly, but you'll get a response. Right now, obviously, I'm doing a live show. I can't answer that. But this client says, what's going on with DACA? I heard the guy who signed was a temporary or something like that, marriage-based. Okay, he said a lot of things there, but and SJ as well. With regards to merit-based immigration, this is all talk. We don't have any paperwork, and I don't like speculating on stuff because just making stuff up. I don't want to talk here and just make stuff up. I want to know exactly what it is, and until the president actually issues something, we don't know. Now, the DACA deferred action changes, which I talked about at the beginning of the program, I'll just repeat again, was this crazy new thing that they started where they're saying essentially they're not going to accept new applications and existing ones are only going to be approved for 1 year. They're going to cancel all advanced parole requests that are new. There's a lot going on. It was a multi-page memo. Honestly, I didn't read through the whole thing because it's, you know, I don't have any DACA cases coming up for new applicants, so it doesn't affect, other than reading the headlines that they put at the beginning. I haven't read through the whole thing yet. I've been too busy with this darn public charge rule. But nonetheless, that's that. So with regards to your question, let me see what your question was again. In this messy way that YouTube does it. What's going on? Yeah, you could download and read that memo and see how it affects you. It was issued by the Department of Homeland Security Acting Chief Chad Wolf. It's 8 or 12 pages, and then you can see how it affects you. But the main thing of it is they're not accepting new advanced parole documents, requests, or new applicants for DACA. That was the big gist, and that's what a lot of the controversy has been about right now. But we'll see what's going on. Who knows? Every day they do something different. There's going to be lawsuits against that, injunctions. That's why I'm not going to talk about it, because for sure there's going to be a lawsuit because the Supreme Court said to do differently, and then we're going to have to go fight back and forth. So I mean, I know it's kind of juicy soap opera kind of stuff, but if you really it affects you, you should have a lawyer on it already on top of it. So that's that. MB says, I have a deportation to go back to my country. My wife applied my green card. Is it possible to come back to U.S.? I don't know. I have to see your case, why they deported you, what you've done, what your history is, if it's possible to get a waiver. This is something serious, so you got to talk to a lawyer in private with your case. They need to see a removal order, all that kind of stuff. Your court hearing records, everything. Musi says, what are the main reasons why your marriage-based interviews gets declined? Well, I don't have any declined marriage-based interviews, but the main reason is because either it's fraud or the people just don't answer things right. So they're not being smart about it. They don't know it, or there's a lot of reasons we say denial. It could be there's fraud, it could be document issues, it could be their medical is bad, it could be their financial situation is not good, it could be there wasn't lawful entry or they didn't have proof of lawful entry. There's a million and one things it could be. Typically it's just because they don't trust them as a couple. I mean, they ask questions and they're not answering well. And that's it. So you got to prepare. That's why you have a lawyer to help you go through that. Okay, Parb says, what are the documents that we need to bring for a naturalization interview? Well, if you go to my website, jklaw.com, I have a page that breaks down all the documents, but it's case specific. So I need to know what case you have to say what you need to bring, because each person needs to bring different types of documents depending on the relationship. Now, if you look at the instructions for Form N400, it has it all there. So it's really easy for you to look that up and see what's going on. But but for me to answer that, I need to know all the factors going on in your life to say, if it's what you need. So without that, I really can't answer that question. It's just too vague. On YouTube, Village Beautiful says, Dear Sir, any positive news for Diversity Visa 2020? Unfortunately, not. Diversity Visa lotteries, people who apply and they win this lottery to potentially get a green card. Unfortunately, President Trump has shut it down essentially for this year. One, between the embassies being closed, and secondly, with his travel ban against people applying for immigrant visas. There are lawsuits about it, so we'll see, but no good news yet, unfortunately, unless you could argue that you're some sort of exception to the travel ban. So that's, again, this is case specific. We got to go see what's happening with you. Mate Naranjo says, finally tuning into a live. Well, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a fun thing. We're doing Wednesdays on YouTube, so catch me here. But if you're on TikTok, I'm here Monday through Thursday. You can always catch the videos on YouTube. But thanks for coming. Alma says, if you filed an N400 recently, but your green card is about to expire, do you need to file for a green card renewal? No, you don't have to do that. If you want to travel, you may need to get renew it or get a stamp depending on when you filed the N400. I don't want to get too much into that here unless you specifically ask for it or something like that. But let's say you have an expired green card, you don't have to renew the green card to file for an N400. Sometimes if a client doesn't mind, I do it because you never know what kind of officer you have that's going to make a mistake and say, why didn't you file? But generally, you don't need to renew your green card if you're filing for an N400. Sandir says, hi, how are you? I'm doing good, a little tired. As I was talking about earlier, there's this public charge one. I have like 4 or 5 marriage cases that came to me at once that were filing, and I'm trying to get these done, but the public charge rule creates a lot of extra paperwork. So as soon as I think I'm done, I realize, oh, this issue here, that issue there. So it's a major problem, but there may be an injunction that makes all the work I did this week that I lost a lot of sleep on completely worthless because we might not need to do it. So and that's immigration life for you. AKA says, if my family receives EBT benefits and I am not, will that affect my I-130 case for my spouse? Well, probably not, but I don't know, AKA. I need to review it exactly, which family members you are, what your relationship was to that household, all this kind of stuff. If those people are part of your wife's household, your household. So I don't know, these are case-specific stuff I won't be able to answer here. All right, go back to TikTok. Is embassy open in Islamabad, Pakistan? I've heard Pakistan is starting to open up, but I'm not sure if they're doing anywhere. Okay, this plan asks a non-immigration related thing. It says, under what party is Kanye running? He says the birthday party, or do you see him as a joke? Well, Kanye sometimes says some really intelligent stuff in the middle of a lot of crazy stuff. So, I welcome it. Different perspectives are always good. It is what it is. I feel bad. I was telling my wife this. Most people don't feel too bad for Kim Kardashian, and she has a lot of haters. But I never thought people would feel so much sympathy for Kim Kardashian. But when your husband goes on TV and says that kind of stuff, it really just breaks your heart. But the guy has mental situations, so I can't call him a joke. But again, he says some smart stuff sometimes. You got to go past a lot of the wackiness, and his music has been wonderful. So I just hope his family do well. He has children, and so when I see his kids brought into this kind of stuff, it hurts because I have kids too. They're gonna go up hear this stuff. They already have to deal with mom's videos and dad stuff. So it's a lot of pressure for people. So I just wish none of that would happen. I pray for that. I hope they do well. RTUSA says, for regular family case visa interviews, is embassy open? So it depends. Again, RTUs, it depends on what kind of family case. Immigration is so specific, you can't answer. It gets more specific. I can't answer it like that. Krunal on YouTube says, my I-485 based EAD and AP have been approved yesterday. Right now I'm on OPT-AD non-immigrant. Which work authorization will be valid once I have a green card based EAD? Well, as they're both valid as long as you validly you do your OPT and you're on OPT. You could use that or you could use the other ones. They're both good. They're both valid. It's fine. User 84 says, my interview canceled due to COVID. Suddenly status update. No one appears in interview. Well, you need to contact USCIS. That could be a major problem. So if they say you didn't appear at your interview, you have an automatic denial. Very hard to fix that. So hopefully it's just an error and you can call it, but you need to call them up immediately. You may have gotten an appointment notice and not realized it and missed it, and you automatically denied, and that's catastrophic. So sorry, the bad information, but bad news, but you got to really call in immediately to see what's going on. USCIS is probably closed right now, so tomorrow morning, give them a call, or if you have an attorney, see what's going on. That's why having an attorney is good on this kind of stuff. Madigan says, can I work with my EAD card application receipt? I don't think so. I had a call about this today too. It's probably you, but I think the employer needs to see the card. This is all under the rubric, on the umbrella of I-9 verification for Form I-9 when you find employment. And so my firm doesn't specialize on that. You need to have a bigger firm to be able to handle that kind of stuff, and I'm a solo that just likes helping individuals. But if you look at the I-9 verification forms, it lists in the packet what forms are okay, what paperwork is okay, what paperwork's not. And so you can refer to that, see if it's appropriate. That's something I'd have to do a separate consultation because I got to do the research on that. On YouTube, PS says, my immigrant visa, IR1, spouse of a U.S. citizen, interview was scheduled at the U.S. Embassy before February 24th, but canceled due to medical reason. Does public charge will apply to my case where I go for my interview next time? Public charge will apply to your case if your interview is after the 24th, but, and it's DS 5540. Not all embassies are enforcing it yet. It's all over the place. And if this injunction by the court stays, then it won't apply to you. But I would go in with preparation of Form DS 5540, proof of education, proof of language, all that kind of stuff to be safe. It can apply to you. Not necessarily, but it can apply to you. Okay. Prop says, thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, Sahib. I am Shikmi says, please, any info about asylum backlog? Nope. You ask that every day. I don't have any information about asylum. RTUSA says, I-130 for my child. I don't know what the rest of that was. Cardis says, I just pressed something that jumped all the way to the bottom of the questions. Carter says, what is the petition waiting time for spouse? What varies for different cases? I don't get into timelines. Nigel says, my citizenship case is in review status since August 2019. Do you know how long it takes? No, I don't get into timelines. Rosenberry says, regarding the previews question about the status of an interview, I am waiting for my interview. Previous question. Okay, then that's it. But if they say it's bad, it's bad. Frozen says, where can I check my status? There's nowhere. It depends on what you mean. So if you entered on a non-immigrant visa, you check your Form I-94 online. If you have a case pending, you try to go to uscis.gov. Certain cases that are with the Department of State or with an embassy, you can go to CEAC site or the embassy website. It depends on what status you're talking about. There's different agencies that deal with all this different stuff. So I need a lot more specifics about your case. Farhad says, I'm waiting for my interview removal of conditions as it takes a long time. Yes, you might not have an interview, but it takes a while. Tina says, if my daughter I-130 is affected by the ban, she is thinking about reapplying to renew her tourist visa that expired this year. Is that a bad idea? Yeah, most likely your tourist visa is going to get denied. If you have a green card case pending, they usually close it, but maybe not. We have another question about the Kabul embassy opening. You should always just check with the U.S. embassy that you're discussing to see if they're open or not. It depends on what kind of case you have. So some embassies are open, but they're only open to certain types of cases. So I need to know a lot more information. So the best thing you can do is just go to the website for that embassy and see what they have to say and what kind of visas and immigrant visas, non-immigrant visa categories they're accepting. YRNJ says, does all criminal charge make you deportable or only certain ones? Yeah, there's books and books written about that. It's certain ones. And so, yeah, it depends on what the criminal charge is. And it's a very complicated area of law, so you need to consult an immigration attorney about that. SJ says, any predictions on a visa bulletin for September? Is ROE going to be current? I don't make predictions here. I only work with facts, so no guessing here. Let's see. Thank you for sharing, Charlotte. Let me see if I missed the question. Oh, no, I did. Okay, so Prop says, can my parents stay here in the U.S. as their I-130 is in review and they have been here for 13 months? Prop, I need to see that case. There's a lot of factual issues that fact pattern you just gave me has that I don't want to answer here. It's not appropriate, so I would need to consult with you in private to see what's going on with that case. John says, hi to you as well. All right, we have a question on YouTube. And PS says, can I add my wife as a joint sponsor who is a green card holder with 2 years tax return only? It's possible. It really depends on total income. So that's too case specific. I need to see the case myself. PS. Tina, you said please. I'll explain briefly, but it's a video that's going to be out in a couple days. But essentially, you could try. Your daughter can try applying for a tourist visa. It may be denied because she has a green card case pending. And so it's a risk you got to take on if you want to do it, if you want to spend the money and the time on that. That's about it. Leslie says, I have an application sent out, application of AP. I don't know what your question means. Have you sent out any application of AP? Yeah, I send, if you mean Advanced Pro, I send those out regularly with all my green card cases. All right, so we have some questions on TikTok. John says, how can we ask USCIS to make a decision on my I-140? They'll make a decision when they want. If it's outside regular processing times, then you can maybe make a complaint or something like that. But you can't force them to make any decision. Maybe you pay the extra money for premium processing if it's appropriate for your case, and that'll be you pay for it. Despite going to ombudsman inquiry, I still no decision. I don't know what to tell you. Username 336 says, I got my green card June 22nd, but I haven't received my Social Security card. Do you know when it's to stay open? No, you need to contact the Social Security office. They're the people that can answer you about when things will open or when not. John says, no complaints work. Okay, that sounds good. YR and J. Okay, Krunal says, can you answer my question at 7:20? Well, right now it's 5:20 on my phone, so I don't know what your question is, Krunal. Just ask it again. Oh, you say, Ken, I work more than 40 hours, probably a couple of jobs once I receive my I-485 based work authorization. Once you get a green card based on adjustment of status, I'm not a green card, the EAD for adjustment of status, you can work however many hours you want. There's no limitation on that. It's an open work permit. Wire just says, if I decide to enter the Army as a green card holder, would I be eligible for naturalization, not neutralization, after my deployment? They had a program where you get your citizenship faster in a green card. I think President Trump put a stop to that. I don't know. I haven't thought about it in a while, so I don't know the exact details. But I mean, this is on the websites and stuff. You can check it out if it's still happening. But I forgot. I haven't dealt with that issue in a couple months, so I don't remember the exact details. I think they stopped some of it, but I'd have to research that. 143, I love you says, I applied for my green card 70 days ago, never received fingerprint, but some apply fee within 1 week. Well, right now the fingerprinting appointments are stopped because of COVID-19. They started restarting it July 17th, so you have to wait, but not every biometrics or fingerprinting location is open. So don't freak out about it. You just gotta wait. If you got the receipt, that's good. Other than that, you just have to be patient and wait it out. So that's that. Yeah, hopefully you have an immigration attorney on this kind of stuff. They could, guide you and lessen the worry. And that's what a lot of the job of immigration lawyers for. So you have a person you ask these questions to because they know your case. Because I can't say with certainty you don't have any problems. I don't know anything about you other than these 2 lines. But if I knew your whole case, if there was a problem, I would know. And also, as your attorney, I always get a copy of everything sent to you. So if you got a biometrics notice and it didn't get delivered in the mail, your neighbors took it or something like that, I would still get a copy and keep an eye out and know what's going on. That's why it's so important to have an immigration lawyer. It costs money, but you want to have someone that's watching out for you, and that's what I do. Thank you, but it'll be great. And Kunal, you're welcome. You're welcome. Raj says, I applied for my work authorization June 10th. I got my receipt letter. How long will it take to get approval? I don't know. You just have to wait and it'll come when it comes. Sonia says, I applied for my husband. We got an email from the embassy asking him to do his medical again because his administrative processing was done. That means he's getting his visa. Not necessarily. They make you really happy with that. So what happened is when you do a green card interview through the embassy, you have to do a medical appointment before that. However, sometimes cases go into what's called administrative processing. And this is when the embassy says, we need to do more research. We won't tell you necessarily what it is, but we need to do it. So you're waiting and waiting and waiting. I think after 6 months, the medical checkup that you did expires. So then you have to do a new one. But you don't want to do it too soon because you might have to wait and a new one will get expired too. So eventually, the embassy will contact you and say, hey, go do another medical and send it to us. It's an indicator that they've approved the case. But at the same time, I've seen cases where they do the medical, go to the embassy, they give their passport to get the visa. A week later, they contact them and say, oh no, we have further administrative processing to do. Just go back home and wait it out. It's a horrible way to treat people. It really sucks. And it's people spend a lot of money and time for no reason. But I always say, you know, don't get too excited until you have the visa. Don't even get excited to get the visa in hand, because you might get a travel ban. I have clients right now who got the visa and then a travel ban happened and they couldn't enter the United States. So until you're in the United States with the green card in hand, there's no jumping for joy yet. You gotta wait till the very, very end of this stuff. I've just seen it happen too many times. Upright says, what do you think is gonna happen to DACA? Probably the president's gonna get rid of it. That's probably what's gonna happen, but I don't know, that's guessing. User 85 says, is U.S. Embassy open to schedule appointments? Some are, some aren't. Allison says, I have a green card and my time is complete 16th August for applying for citizenship. Can he receive applicant? Your question doesn't go together. I don't know. Didar says, I applied I-751 in January 2020 and divorce in process. How long did it take to get a response? So Dita, you got a very complex situation there. As soon as possible, schedule a time with an immigration attorney to review your case. When you get divorced before or after filing I-751, it sets your case down a very complex road and it requires a lot of more legal work involved. So what you should do is immediately start scheduling consultations with lawyers to help you with that. Leslie says, sir, how hopeful are you that DACA will come back again? It's not about my hope and stuff. It's just, you know, it is what it is. It's politics. So I don't get involved in politics. I studied politics for way too long to know better, to give any opinions on what may happen or may not happen on that kind of stuff. You just got to find out a way to protect yourself. Also says, how are K1 visa processing going so far? They're going. That's about it. Didar says, thanks, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, the question is too open-ended. I can't answer that K1 question. Alan says, citizenship applications received now? Yeah, they've never stopped being received. I've been filing citizenship cases every month this year. Lev says, sir, how hopeful are you that DACA will answer that one? The next question is, didn't Trump say good things that are coming for DACA? He's bipolar? Exactly. I don't know. This guy's all over the place. Upright says, easiest way to get a green card. JR is right, getting married, but it's not about, it's just more to it than just saying this is easy. It's more complicated than that. All right, I'll take one or two more questions and we'll call it a day. I'll be back again here tomorrow, Thursday. We always get the recording of these on YouTube and live on TikTok, 5 p.m. 5:30 on the Immigration Lawyer John channel. But tomorrow, not going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on Instagram, the JQK Law Firm page on Instagram. I'd love to go on Instagram. We got a good crew there. YouTube is pretty good today, too. We got a lot of questions. I would love it. More questions is better, especially if Trump goes and gets rid of TikTok. Our crew on TikTok are regular. We're going to have to say goodbye. So if you're on TikTok watching this, get into YouTube, get in on the Instagram page, get in on the Facebook page. That's where you continue following me, because right now, as it is, you know, it's just TikTok is up in the air. And I have my kid banging against the door. If you want, come in. We'll get you in the film. I'm about to end right now. So let's see. All right, we have no more questions on TikTok that I'm seeing. Let me see if there's any questions on YouTube. That's about it. Thanks for your time, you too, JR, and thank you as well. I guess that's it, everybody. If you haven't already and you're interested in learning about the marriage green card case process, the K1 visa process, go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook and get the ultimate marriage green card ebook free. It's the ultimate strategy guide for getting down the road, starting down the road for the green card process. I highly recommend you do that before you do anything. That's the best way to do it. We have one last question. Does tattoos affect anything when applying for DACA? Not so much for DACA, but you never know. I've heard some crazy things before. Like I had one colleague told me when a client went to do their biometrics, that's when you do your fingerprinting, the person there said, oh, let me see your tattoos, and took a photo, and that became a problem for that. Now, I think it's highly inappropriate for them to ask for that, but that's weird. Or if you're going to the embassy in certain Central American and South American countries, they will ask to see your tattoos and claim that you're part of a gang or something like that. So when you say tattoos, it depends on what tattoos and how much luck you have. It really goes to that. All right, everyone, until next one, have a good one. Bye-bye, God bless, be safe.